Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us for Education 101. I'm Carol Birdsong, Communications Director for Williamson County Schools, and this is a special edition of this program where we have invited Williamson County School Board members in to talk about their service to our school district. My co-host for this program is Superintendent Dr. Mike Looney, and our guest is Bobby Hullett, who represents District 7 for Williamson County Schools. So, Bobby, thanks for being here.
Thanks for the invitation.
Glad you're here. Let's talk about District 7.
Absolutely.
And the area that you serve.
Fantastic. District 7 is the Brentwood community, and I've lived there since the 4th grade, and a lot of people know my story. We moved here the weekend before I started 4th grade, and I've lived here ever since. And I have the unique perspective of being a student who I graduated from Brentwood High School in 1989, and then I was also a teacher in the district, and then I'm a parent in the district. Both of my boys attend Lipscomb Elementary, where both my wife and I attended elementary school, and she's also a teacher. My wife is a teacher in the district, and so now I'm a board member. So the only thing that I haven't fulfilled in the old rank of order of Williamson County residents is a grandparent. So I've got, years before that happens, but hey,
I'm sure you'll get there.
That's right. That's right.
Now, I was at a Be Nice leadership summit the other day, and I ran into a young man. Looked a lot like you. He was doing the Be Nice thing for the district.
That's
Talk
right.
to us a little bit about that.
Well, we clone them in my family, so there are two of them that look just like me. No, but Aslan is our rising 5th grader, and Carter is our rising 1st grader. And Aslan was selected from his school to be one of the representatives from Lipscomb for Be Nice as a 5th grader, and he is thrilled to death. We couldn't be more surprised and pleased. We were just so happy and proud of him because he's such a great kid. And Carter, of course, he's a ham, and he was there to take the pictures as well, and he's real supportive of his brother as well. So it's a great opportunity.
Listen, that was a great day. I wasn't really sure what to expect, but we had elementary counselors plan the program day for the elementary students. Okay. We actually had 2 elementary students and a staff representative this year, and it was kind of a learner-leader kind of day. And I hope that you got good feedback, because the students and the staff just seemed to love that Be Nice Day.
That's fantastic. And one of the things that I got great feedback of, and the kids that are there in the program, it's a lot about, there's the Be Nice focus of it, but a lot of the kids that are selected, they have a servant's heart. So there's a lot of servant leadership, and they lead by example, and there's the, you get in front of your teammates and you pull with your teammates rather than standing behind and pushing them. Those are those types of kids, and you can just see it in their eyes and their hearts and just their actions. They're great kids, and they're going to be great, all of them, they'll all be great representatives of the campaign and our schools.
So you have lived in the same area, not born, but raised right in that same area, and lived in that same area this whole time?
Actually, the same house. And so we moved here in 4th grade, and the fun story about this is my stepdad and my mom, my stepdad was transferred for work to St. Louis, and so I actually went in and I turned the key. They left and went up there, and I went and finished the cleaning, and I turned the key and turned it into the realtor. And our street it's a dead-end street, so I went down the street and thought, I'm never coming back, it's too hard, the memories and single tier, so after about 10 months, Kristen and I had been looking, and we were looking around for homes, and all of a sudden I was talking to my stepdad on the phone, and I said, he said, hey, are you interested in the house? And I said, well, what house? And he said, our house. And I was like, I haven't been down the street, I thought it would have sold. And he goes, no. Well, anyway, the long story compressing it, he gave me the number, I called the company, and I said, okay, and we made an offer, and then we countered once, we countered twice the same day, and that was on a Tuesday, and they said, congratulations, it's yours, and we said, great, and they said, and it was a relocation company, so they were trying to move it along, and they said, when can you close? I said, when can we close? They said, how about Friday? And we're like,
oh my goodness.
Friday, okay, well, sure. So at the end of that, you get in there, as home buyers do. We're first-time home buyers, and you sign 900 pieces of paper. And at the very end, the realtor said, congratulations, you're a homeowner, and she handed me the key that I had turned in.
Oh, wow.
That's
a great story.
And we didn't have kids at the time, so we had dogs, which were our kids at the time. So we went and grabbed our 3 dogs, and we went over to the house and went in. We just slept on the floor that night. We were so excited. And so we've changed it and renovated a lot of things, but it's the same house that I moved into in 4th grade.
That's a great story.
Well, you do bring you bring a very unique perspective to the school board, because you were a student here, you have children in the district, your wife is a great teacher in our school district, you were a teacher in our school district, and so you know the inner workings of how this big operation works. And So I really appreciate the fact that you bring that knowledge to the table, and it helps you, it informs your decision-making process, I guess, right?
Absolutely, and one of the things that I've seen is change from, even as a fourth grader moving up and then in high school and seeing how we have progressed. And the one thing that we have always kept constant through changing boards and administrations and everything that we've kept is a pursuit of excellence in education.
Right.
And we've always had that in Williamson County, which is great. And I got to experience it as a student, and my boys experience it, and it's a greater pursuit of excellence now than even it was when I was in school, and we were great back then. And so now it's just great to see how we keep pushing the envelope, and people keep moving here for our schools. It's funny, I remember when I was a teacher and I went through new teacher induction through orientation. Gary Anderson was the chair at that time, and he was on the board for a long time. In fact, and I'll tell a little story on him. He started on the board the year after I graduated high school.
Oh,
so,
wow. Wow.
So he's he's a wealth of knowledge and wisdom, and we're so lucky to have him on the board. But he came to new teacher induction, and he was talking about how the district was growing, and a lot of the projections he was talking about 10 years ago or 11 years ago now are the same. I mean, they are growing and rising, and I mean, people keep moving here because it's the best place in the state to live.
So it's a blessing and a challenge to deal with all the growth that we're having. And you happen to live in one of the communities in our district that's experiencing a lot of growth, not so much from new construction, but a lot from housing churn, where empty nesters are moving out and people with children are buying their homes. And so that challenges us. So talk to us a little bit about, looking through your lens, given all the background that you bring to the table, how does a district like ours that has so much growth maintain the quality of educational opportunities that we have had historically, but at the same time meet the needs of all these new families?
That's a fantastic question. And it's great too, because in our community, and it's funny when you talk about the housing churn, because a lot of the folks who are moving out and the kids who are moving in are people I went to high school with. I mean, we did it. I live in the house that I grew up in.
Right.
And a lot of our communities were built right after the incorporation of the city, and the communities are strong and they're family oriented, and so and some of them are just if people move out and move where they go, the folks that are moving in, they've been waiting to get a house in the area so that they can come to our schools. And I mean, nothing stays vacant for very long. I mean, they sell quickly and people move in because they love our schools. One of the challenges that we have with that is just making sure that we provide the resources, and that's we have more people that move in, and that's more people here to help pay for those resources, but it's also a challenge because we can't just, as we all know, we can't just go and say, to ask the county commission, hey, we need X millions of dollars to go build 3 or 5 new schools, because you run the risk, the risk and strategy management of that is, what if you build the school and people don't move into that area? Then you've got an empty box that you paid millions of dollars for. So we have to reach the point of pain, which is difficult, to build a new school. And right. Some of our challenges, like in my community with Brentwood, Brentwood High School is landlocked.
Right.
We know that, and the only thing we can do is go up. We don't have anywhere else. McGavick Farms is right beside it, so the neighborhood basically boxes it in, and it's tough when you have a lot of growth and you have nowhere to go.
Right, and going back to the area you represent, Bobby, it's pretty much the Brentwood High School and all feeders? Is there other areas?
There is, and it's Jay Galbraith and I share some of the schools because he's in District 6 and we're basically right across the street kind of neighbors. I mean, he lives a couple of streets down type of thing. So, but the two of us represent the greater bulk of the Brentwood community, and my side of the community might be considered what folks sometimes call as Old Brentwood. It's the side that's in North Brentwood, and then Jay's is part of the Old Brentwood, but also some of the new construction that's come in over the past decade or so.
But do you have Scales?
I've got Scales, Edmondson, and Lipscomb Elementaries, and then Brentwood Middle and Brentwood High School.
Mm-hmm. Because we were also discussing earlier in another taping specials.
Yes.
Learning cottages.
Learning cottages, that's right.
And your schools that you specifically serve are going to get to experience portables.
Yes, and it's tough, like with Scales this past year, where we had an unexpected amount of churn, and we ended up with 90 plus kids that we didn't know were coming, just because it's not new construction. It's something you really can't tell until the moment when it happens. And so when that does, is you have to have space. If you don't have a new school to put the kids into, you have to have space, because we have to serve all students equally, and we have to put them in great. We have to come up with those resources to provide that same great education for them as well. And so it's tough. Growing up, I was in. I spent. It wasn't in Williamson County, but it was in. I was in Metro. at the time. I spent second grade in a portable. My classroom was a portable, and so it was fine. I mean, you have to go inside to do certain things and stuff, but it was fine. It's not optimal because a lot of people sometimes they feel you might be apart from a hallway type situation, but it's still it's a learning community in itself. It's self-contained. It's great. I saw it as a positive growing experience.
Well, we aspire obviously to not have
Of
learning
course.
cottages in the district, but it is something that we're going to continue to be challenged with moving forward as we experience this record-setting growth as far as student enrollment goes. I want to go back for a few minutes and kind of reflect on the year. I'm not quite ready to let the year go. It was an amazing year from my perspective, and I have certainly my favorite moments of when I was in a classroom or at an event or doing something. But from your perspective, I know that I think almost every event I went to, you were either there or had been there. You go to everything.
Yes.
So talk to us about some of your favorite memories from the 2014-15 school year.
From an elementary standpoint, at Scales, I was able to go to the J. Biztown interviews, and I've done that for the past few years, and it's so great because these kids come in and a lot of them are in suits that might be a little too big or a little too small, and they're all dressed up, and sometimes they're nervous and sometimes they're not, and they're honest, and it's great because they'll say they want to come in and be the DJ or they want to come in and be the mayor of J. Biztown or whatever, but their answers are so. You say, what responsibilities do you have? Well, I make my bed, and I'm thinking, I wish I did that, but that's great. And then you have other initiatives like Scales Math Night, which was fantastic, and other schools heard about it and they might be doing it. At Lipscomb, I go to most everything because that's where my boys go, and I go and read to Carter's class once. I did it for Aslan as well, but I read to his class once a month, and just so many great things happening there as well. But I think probably the most fun and exciting thing for me recently was the state basketball championship. I told Coach King afterwards, and Coach King was actually my high school English teacher.
How about
Wow.
that?
So I've known
That's
him
great.
forever, and he's fantastic. And I told him afterwards, it was literally the best high school basketball game I've not only seen or been to, but that I've ever seen. It was so exciting, and we came within seconds.
Oh.
I think it was 13 seconds or something. It
Yeah.
was so close, but it was so great.
It's he had such a remarkable career in this district and is leaving such a legacy. A fine educator and a great basketball coach too. Just left his mark on Williamson County, and so I want to pick your brain for a second.
Sure.
You're one of the few board members that we have. We have three actually, that have spouses that work in the district. Be your spouse's voice for a second. I know that, like in my home, I know when I go home, my wife and I have the husband-wife conversations about work. And so if you could be her voice today with Carol and myself, what would you say?
I would say that the support that the teachers receive is great, and that they know that you and the staff and their principals are all looking out for their best interests and trying to create greater opportunities for excellence for them, and that they wholeheartedly believe in that. One of the things even though it's not her school and it's talking about Lipscomb's looking forward to Power Mondays.
Right.
I mean, that is a move in the right direction. And when I was a teacher at Ravenwood, we were part of the very first Power Monday, and there were rumblings and grumblings because it was at the high school, and we had to get over some obstacles and hurdles to figure it out. But I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity for our teachers and staff, and also for the kids in some respects too, for the way they do those. So I think that it's a great opportunity to keep expanding that and looking into the different possibilities like elementary school for that, because I know that for my son's teachers, and Kristen's an elementary teacher,
Right.
She would also enjoy that time as well.
Well, I'm excited about that too. And some of our listeners may not know what a Power Monday is. So would you mind just kind of from a board's perspective, and from a former teacher's perspective,
That's right.
you know what a Power Monday is. And so let's talk about what that is specifically.
Power Monday, the kids just sleep in. No.
Well, some of them may.
Some of them may. But Power Mondays, the biggest part about it is it's a collaborative process for our teachers, which they get together on time. It's not like you're having to say, hey, I need you to come in at 6 a.m. to do this, or stay until 6 p.m. on your own time. It gives them time. We reallocate the students' time so they don't lose any time, but we give the teachers time to get together, especially in high school. It was when we first started out, it was all of the English teachers got together and the math teachers, and it was just and the way it worked was kids could come or they could stay home, but class just started a little bit later, but they get that extra little bit of time for planning and collaboration and teamwork, and makes them a more cohesive team. It's just,
And that does not happen otherwise at the high school level. There is no opportunity for that.
right. It's really difficult for them to do that. So it's a fantastic opportunity for them, and it only helps them better serve our students, our kids.
Bobby, you were really engaged in the budget process this year, and we ended up with, I think, a very reasonable budget, and hopefully it will get approved by the full county commission in the next couple of weeks. Talk to us about what's your moment of celebration, for the lack of a better way of describing it, about the budget, and what's something in the budget that's not included in the budget that you really wish we could have gotten accomplished this year?
Sure. With the budget, I think it's we run a very lean, tight machine, and a lot of times, either through incrementalism in budgeting or straight line budgeting processes, however you're looking at it, a lot of times people look and think, well, okay, here's the budget, now we have to make cuts to it, and it's just assumed that there's fat in it and that you have to cut it out. And ours is an extremely lean budget. We don't ask for anything that we don't need. I think. Some of the things that we need to look forward in achieving in the budget process is more on our, for lack of a better term, infrastructure side, with maintenance, with our IT needs, because we are a leader in the state in the virtual needs areas where we're talking about IT.
Sure.
And so we have to, and IT is such a difficult area to focus on, because everything is obsolete. As soon as it comes out, within 18 months, it's obsolete. And if we update computers and go through life cycling, and every so many years we life cycle things in and out, if we do that, then all of a sudden, if the state or whatever the testing mandate comes down and says you have to do this, and we don't have the next operating system, or we don't have a chip or a memory system or whatever it might be that will handle that, then that puts us and other counties as well in a very, very difficult position. So it's one of those things we have to keep a close eye on. And you could easily with IT break the budget, and we're not looking to do that. We would never want to do that, but we have to have what we have to make sure that our kids are successful.
Sure. Now you're being real modest, because what you're not saying is that you were really adamant this budget cycle about making sure that our employees got a raise, and it wasn't just about teachers, it was about lunchroom workers and bus drivers. And so thank you for stepping up to the plate and for holding us accountable to not. There was a lot of pressure this year.
Sure.
to not give a raise or to reduce the amount of raise, but why was that so important to you?
The thing that you find, and we oftentimes either compare. It's funny because sometimes it's a selective model on whether we compare teachers to corporate America or not, and it's the variables on how it's compared sometimes fluctuate. And I didn't see it at all ever as a raise, because when you look at our salaries and our pay scales compared to those around us, and also within the county and outside the county, we are not at market value. And so with this not being, I didn't see it as a raise. I saw it as a right sizing of pay, because as I stated at one of the county budget committee meetings or the education meeting, was that if you think about this, if you have an engineer that works for you, or a doctor that works for you, or someone that's a professional, just like our teachers are professional educators, and you don't pay them market value where they could go somewhere else and do that, they're going to do great work wherever they go. But they're going to, a lot of times, if they need to, they're going to go to the next company and work and pay and get paid what they're worth.
I got an email from actually a school principal in one of your schools, one of the schools that you represent, yesterday. And we're losing a veteran teacher that has worked for this district for 18 years with a master's degree. The principal describes this specific teacher as one of the best teachers that she's ever had, but that teacher's leaving us for more money, and they're going to go right next door and make $8,000 more a year. Mm-hmm. And as you get, towards the end of your career, the last half of your career, you start thinking about retirement and benefits and that sort of thing. And so money really does matter when you're young. Then perhaps it doesn't matter as much, but certainly as you get more experience and start thinking about what's next, those last several years of employment and the compensation that you earn is really important. So once again, thank you.
Well, from inside, to build on that just for a second, from the inside, it's the realization of Adam's equity theory, and that's the boiled down version of that is worth equal to value. Now, of course, our teachers know that we value everything that they do, and we love them and they work so hard. But a lot of times, with the budgeting process, there are things that are out of the school districts and the Board of Education's control, and sometimes value and worth don't actually equal out. We're trying to make sure that that does happen. But our educational system here has a symbiotic relationship with the things that are most important to all residents, which is property value and low taxes and those types of things. But we have to make sure that we keep the best teachers here and principals and administrators and all of those folks here and staff here, so that that high level of educational excellence stays here, which in turn brings people here, and it's basically a cycle that keeps going. But like I said, it's symbiotic. One feeds off the other. They live together inherently.
Right. Now, Bobby, I'm gonna go light for a second. You've got a beautiful family, great children, a hard-working wife that's an excellent teacher, and you got an HR background, but you have a pastime that's pretty intriguing to me. You're a baseball guy.
I'm a baseball player. I play on 2 teams in the summer. I actually manage them both, just in my spare time, as if I had any. But
you play on 2 teams?
I play on 2 teams.
I thought you coached.
No, both. Well, I coach both. I coach Carter, and then now Aslan's on a travel team, so now I just get to be a fan. So now I get to go to the games and just watch. But I coach Carter, and he's on a little travel team as well, on a little 7U travel team. But I love playing baseball. It's been my life's passion, and I'm on a 35 and older team, manage that, and a 45 and older team, and I manage that. I'm 44, but since I manage,
so we don't add them 35 and 45 together. That's not your combined age.
Two separate, right? Exactly. Sometimes it feels like it, but I catch for the 45 team and play wherever on the 35 team. It's wherever we need, but we play on. Tuesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, all through the week, and it's so much fun because it's an escape from life, because it's a kid's game, and here we are, we're grown men, we get to go out and play in the dirt and the grass and play a kid's game and just get away for 3 hours and have the best time ever.
That's really, really cool.
I didn't know that about you.
It's fantastic. I love it.
You haven't seen those baseball caps that he brings in every once in a while?
I see him wearing the stuff. I just didn't know he
That's right.
did it.
So I'm going to use your baseball background to talk a little bit about ACT scores.
Sure.
If you were to describe our performance on the ACT, would we have hit a single to first, a double, a triple, a homer? Where do you put us there?
Or a grand slam.
In baseball.
Well, there are several powerful hitters right now. There's Josh Hamilton, who set a record years ago with the home run derby. I would say it's on the level of those. It's not just a home run in the stands. It's probably out of the park. It's over the bleachers and over the lights. It's fantastic.
In the time that you've been a school board member, this year is going to be, I think, the 4th year in a row now that we've increased ACT scores, and the schools that you happen to represent in your area are some of the highest performing schools, not only in the state but practically the nation. I mean, they're doing really, really good stuff, and I really appreciate the school board allowing us to focus on the strategic plan, stay committed to the strategic plan, because we aspire to get to a 24. And we're not going to hit a 24 this year, but we sure are knocking on the door.
We're very close.
We're getting closer every year. We're at 23.5 last year, and so this year will be more than a 23.5. Can't tell the public yet.
I don't think you're allowed to say
it's between a 23.5 and a 24 somewhere.
That's right.
And so, the really powerful part of that story is this year's senior cohort has already passed last year's senior cohort on the ACT when they took it as 11th graders. So we know that not only did we do good with the crew that just graduated, but the people that are the scholars that are seniors this year. For me as the CEO, it looks like a miracle unfolding, and it's really a result of a committed board, great building leadership. The principals and their assistant principals are doing a phenomenal job, and the quality of instruction that people like your wife are providing to our boys and girls every day is phenomenal. I want to touch on one more thing, though. We haven't talked a lot about the parents.
Sure.
I know that you're probably one of the most, if not you're certainly one of the most social media engaged board members that we have. You connect and communicate with parents a lot, and the reality is they bring a lot to the table. Just speak to that just for a moment, if you don't mind.
They do. I believe that open and frequent lines of communication are key to everything that we do, not only with the parents, but with the county commission, with everybody that we deal with. And so when I came onto the board, one of the first things I did was I set up a Facebook page for it. I had a website, and I basically converted it over to Facebook, because at that time Facebook was growing, and now it's pretty much everybody knows Facebook. And then also a Twitter account. And I invite people in just about every email that I send, I say, please feel free to follow me on Twitter or to like my Facebook page, and that way you get updates. I send out a monthly newsletter because it's important that everybody's busy, and they're not elected to the board, and they're concerned about their kids, but they don't worry day to day about what might be happening with the board or with our school district or with those types of things. And so if they get a little update every month, or if they check in and they've got an alert that tells them when I post something on Facebook or on Twitter, then they can look at it and see and say, oh, and I'm I'll post things, and then I might get questions from parents afterwards just to explain. We have great conversations, which when Facebook allows for a thread to go down, and people can say, oh, I've got a question about this, and you get some really robust, great conversations with engaged parents, and it helps them to know, and so that they can ask us all questions.
So if folks do want to follow you on Twitter or like you on Facebook and see how you're communicating, how do they reach you?
The easiest way, if you're on Twitter, is at Bobby Hullett, BOBBY HULLETT, 2 L's, 2 T's, and then and it's not Hullett, which some people think, which it's Hullett like the hull of a ship, and then et.
Okay.
And so at Bobby Hullett, and then on Facebook you go to facebook.com/Hullett School Board. All together. So 2 L's, 2 T's, Hullett School Board, and then it'll pop right up. And it's a public page. It's never closed. It's you can always get to it.
You probably email too, though, right?
Absolutely, and you can reach me at Robert. I go by Bobby, and usually it's Robert when I'm in trouble, but that's my legal name. So I'm robert.hullett@wcs.edu, and then also my phone number, which is 615-772-6527.
Okay, lots of ways to meet you. And I guess if a parent-teacher organization or a group wanted you to come speak, you would be willing to do that?
Absolutely, I love doing it. I've actually done that in the past several times. I'll go to people's homes, to clubhouses, to anywhere that they want to, because as board members, servant leadership is near and dear to my heart, and public service is as well. And when they pushed their button to put me in this chair 3 years ago, that I serve them, I work for them, so I'm always happy to answer questions. And I try to, especially with emails, I try to respond, if not within 24 hours, within a day or two, if it's on the weekends, that type of thing. But I respond to every email that I get to make sure that everybody knows that their voice has been heard.
Okay, very good. So I think everybody knows how to probably reach you now. And if you can believe it or not, our time is up.
Wow.
I can't believe that.
And he wants to do these regularly.
I do.
I
So
love it.
I think you'd probably come back, right?
Absolutely, I love it.
Okay.
It's great. It's a great way for everybody to get to know us a little bit better. It's a great way to see us. And a lot of times you just see a name on the website and think, oh, that's our board member, that type of thing. And now you actually get to look at us and hear our voices and hear our opinions and hear what's important to us. And I think it's very valuable.
Well, let's close with that. Red Sox?
Mets.
Okay. All right. Thanks for co-hosting over here. Thank you for being our guest,
Thank
Bobby.
you all very much.
Very informative and good stuff. And thank you for joining us for Education 101.
When sharing the road, reaction time is important. Motorists should reduce their speed and avoid tailgating, especially in bad weather. When passing, they should leave at least 3 feet between their vehicle and the cyclist. Cyclists have the same rights and responsibilities as motorists. They should travel in the same direction on the right hand of the road and obey all traffic signals. Responsible cyclists care about the image they portray and are courteous to others with whom they share the road. Oh. staying alert, sharing the road, and obeying traffic signals. Observing these rules provides predictability for both motorists and cyclists. Remember, same roads, same rules, same rights.